All right, so this is chapter 6 of Log for Strategic Management. And this is talking about corporate level strategy, such as, in the context of diversification. Um, so there, in my opinion, I say that diversification is most of the time pretty good if it is done correctly and if the right management is in place. Um, because there are some very diverse companies or businesses that do fail. And I think a big part of that is a lot of people diversify and they diversify into things that they don't really know anything about, that's kind of out of their comfort zone, so to speak. And if you do that, you're you're kind of setting yourself up for failure unless you're a very, very quick learner. Um, because the best thing to get into if you're going to diversify is get into something that you're familiar with and that you know. Um, for instance, uh, some of our family businesses, the majority of them revolve around the poultry industry. Such like what I have on Premier Poultry Supply. We just recently, in the last 10 months, purchased that company. And it's a pretty large scale company, but we've grown chickens for Tyson for 25 years and started a poultry vaccinating business and a catching and hauling business for chickens for seven different poultry companies in the southeast. So the reason we diversified into what's now called Premier Poultry Supply is because it's in the poultry industry. We've been around it for 25 years. We know the ins and outs, and we know how things should be done, um, and how to make things better for the growers. So that's just an example, but of good diversifying. But like I said, a lot of people diversify in things that they don't have any business getting in. They just see it as easy money, and it ends up backfiring and blowing up and in their face, and then they have to close the doors and they just lost a whole bunch of whole bunch of money. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I'm all for diversification, but it needs to be in something you know and have a lot of experience in, or at least in a certain industry. Um, Another example from our family businesses, we started a business spreading chicken litter for farmers, and we ended up having to get out of it after a year because, I mean, it's not that we didn't know anything about it, but we just couldn't find the time, and it's very time sensitive, and you have to run a tight schedule, and other things made more money. So we ended up getting out of that. Now we didn't lose any money, but you know, there's people out there that do lose money doing things like that. Because like I said, you see it as an easy paycheck, and it turns out to be a lot more work than you thought it would be. Um, and like I said, the biggest thing about diversifying and getting into different entities and different businesses, a huge part of it is having the right management and the right team to run everything and keep everything going and be good with people. If you've got the right managers and the right employees and people on your team, most of the time it works out for the good. Um, so that's a little bit about what I learned this week. So have a good rest of your day.